games to play. That sounds like a dream. RPGs, actions, shooters. Who doesn't want a ton of games? That's a great problem to have. But let's be real, it's not. This year, some of your favorite games are about to get buried. Not because they're bad, but because they're launched in GTA's shadow. 2 delays sent the whole industry scrambling, and now everyone's gliding into the same few weeks. Here's why 2026 turned into a bloodbath. Let's just take a look at September. Blood of Dawnwalker, Marvel's Wolverine, Silent Hill Townfall, Control Resonant, Onimusha The Way of the Sword. 5 games you probably actually want, all launching within weeks of each other. October is even worse. End of Abyss, a top-down sci-fi horror that I'm excited about. Ace Combat, Gears of War E-Day, Castlevania Belmont's Curse, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and Phantom Blade Zero. The second half of 2026 is crazy. If you want a full picture of how packed the rest of the year is, IGN have made a video and they named 63 games, and they still didn't mention some games like Halo Combat Evolved. And if that's not enough, even some great crafting games that have been in early access phase are finally getting 1.0 update this year, like No Rest for the Wicked, Palworld, and Enshrouded. GTA has scared the hell out of every studio. Some are rushing to launch ASAP, others are pushing it to 2027. I'm not gonna lie, I'd do the same if I were in their shoes. I mean, who has the guts to even think about releasing a game that close to GTA 6? We're at the point of market saturation. As a consumer, I feel satisfied. More on that later. I can get as many bangers as I want. But from a studio's perspective, however, this is terrifying. Even though we had tighter schedules in recent years, some games turns out to be meh or flopped so hard that they've made this shit looks like a financial success. Even if I said I'm happy with the quality of these games, my money and time is still limited for the new releases. Let me give you an example of frustration I felt in this situation. I had to pick between 2 titles or even put some on hold. On March 19, I was stuck choosing my 2 most anticipated games, Crimson Desert and Death Stranding 2 on PC. On April 16, I was in the same situation with Pragmata and Mouse Hire for PI. I like both games, but Mouse PI should have been dropped because I'd been waiting for Pragmata for so long. In each case, one game must be suffered for the other to be played. Even though Death Stranding 2 and Mouse Hire for PI are really good games, I just simply had no time. Well, just play later, you stupid! But that's not my point. Heavy competition on release, even if it's a week apart, can really hurt game sales. You know, I've been checking out all the games that have been dropped this year, wondering how long it takes to finish their story. For example, Crimson Desert takes about 64 hours to beat the main campaign, DS2 36 hours, Mouse PI 15, Pragmata 16, Forza Horizon 28, 007 First Light 17, Gothic Remake and Assassin's Creed Black Flag Rising both takes roughly 30 hours to beat. While I kept looking at charts, a question popped into my head. Who has time for all this? The average playtime of gamers has been declining. The $70 price tag is now the norm for AAA games, and GTA 6 will launch at $80 for standard edition, with premium version topping $100. Why, you may ask? Because they can. People will still buy it if it was like $100 for just the standard edition. It's freaking GTA. The price alone doesn't scare me that much. The fact that inevitably other companies are going to follow the Rockstar's lead is alarming. On top of that, due to inflation, people have less money to spend on video games, console prices are getting crazy, and PC costs an arm and leg. It can't get worse than this. Think about folks who don't put gaming at the top of their hobby list. With consumer getting pickier, they're forced to make tough choices and can totally overlook a ton of awesome games, even though they have more options than However, normies will buy 1 or 2 games, then save up for GTA. It doesn't matter if you're one person indie studio or a AAA giant with $100 million budget. This industry doesn't care. You still fight for survival in one of the most saturated, unforgiving markets out there. And yeah, I'll be real with you, even the big players, the ones with all the money and all the resources, still flop. There's no magic formula that guarantees success. But there are things that you can do and things you need to avoid if you actually want a shot at breaking through. Stick around because this is where it gets super useful. Increase the risk tolerance. Once a game costs $200 million, it basically loses the ability to take any risks. It must be designed to please everyone. And surprise, trying to please everyone ends up pleasing no one. They often use familiar monetization practices and designs to ensure a return on investment. They mandate things not out of creative vision, but because they fear losing money. Adding RPG mechanics to every game, they want DLCs, skins, season passes, and game mechanics separately. At this point, people are going to hate your game before you even release it. The best thing the game companies can do in this situation is reducing the budget and set realistic expectations about how much revenue the game can actually make, and developing a much more focused game. This alone takes a lot of weight off of everyone's shoulder. It gives everyone more room to think about creativity instead of, oh my god, it has to work or I'm done for good. Instead of trying to do a bunch of stuff that's just okay, focus on nailing 1 or 2 awesome mechanics. Like Megabunk, it was made by a solo developer and sold over 1 million copies in just 2 weeks. It tightly focused on movement and upgrades. The game knows exactly what it is and how to be fun. Or take the Game of the Year winner Clair Obscur as an example. They could have easily said, let's make it open world, cook it this, and that give you a legendary item to wear everywhere, no? Instead, they stuck to their vision. If you haven't played yet, the gameplay centers on a turn-based system with real-time dodge and parry mechanics. That alone sets it apart from traditional turn-based games. The game sold millions of copies worldwide while costing less than $10 million to make. Clair Obscur is an efficiency class for the rest of the industry. We can learn a lot from these games, make smaller experiences, make bite-sized games, make games that if it fails the whole company wouldn't go bankrupt. The biggest risk you can take is not taking any risks. Releasing a 7 out of 10 mediocre game is a total mistake. Concord cost an estimated $400 million and peaked at 697 concurrent players before Sony pulled it in 2 weeks with full refunds. Then we got this absolute banger. Highguard lost 90% of its players in just 20 hours. Servers gone 45 days later. Both of these games got a solid 7 out of 10. Safe? Totally forgettable. Nothing really interesting about them. Marvel inspired, being as vanilla as possible, and sometimes being questionably bullshit. The word safe is exactly what kills games before even release. So that's the gaming landscape in 2026 for now. A packed year that GTA 6 turned into an all-out pile-up. If there's only one thing that I want you to remember from this video, safe doesn't mean smart anymore. Concord and Highguard didn't die because they were unfinished or broken. They died because they were nothing game. Meanwhile, a poker roguelike made by basically one guy, a game about climbing mountain with your friend, and an RPG that mixed turn-based combat with real-time dodges are outperforming titles with 10 times their budget because they picked 1 or 2 ideas and ran with it. At the end of the day, as a consumer, I think that 2026 is amazing. It might be a difficult time for developers, but hey, we're doing well. I just wanted to make this video and point out the situation because one thing I also like is to staying fed. Developers are dealing with layoffs and mismanagement, and I want them to keep making games that outdo themselves, survive and improve, just like Capcom. Alright, thanks guys for watching till the end. If you're into these kinds of videos talking about games, the gaming industry and new releases, please like and subscribe. More videos are coming and your feedback means a lot to me and helps the channel grow. Love you all, see you around.